Hello guys, welcome to my class Design of Steel Structures. Today we will complete design of purlin, design of truss. Myself Dr. R.P. Kushwa, a structural designer and chartered engineer, professor in civil engineering department, Global Institute of Technology, Jaipur. Today we will exercise and we will design a purlin of a truss. So for this, first of all, we have to find out or we have to analyze the forces which will upcome on the truss as well as on purlin. So today we will firstly analyze a shed where a truss will be provided and then a purlin will be laid over or connected with the trusses, on which ultimately on top the sheet, corrugated sheet, will be settled down. So here's a problem. So we are asked to design a purlin of a truss for an industrial roof truss. The shed size is given 25 by 120 meter. So we have to design it, and the roof covering is by GI sheets, galvanized iron sheets, corrugated sheets. Basic wind speed will be taken as 50 meter per second, and terrain is open industrial area, and building is class A, and clear height of the building up to its eave is 9 meter, and 1 meter is the truss eave height. So you can see in the drawings, this is a shed of 120 meter by 25 meter, and so the height of the shed is given here 9 meter up to this eave height, and 1 meter is the height of truss at eaves, and this is 2.5 meter height of the slope of the truss. Okay, so first of all we have to find out the rise of truss. So rise we may keep in between L by 8 to L by 12, say L by 10. So the rise comes out to be 25 divided by 10. It comes out to be 2.5 meter. Okay. Now truss spacing should not be truss spacing or bay. We can say it bay. This should be kept in between L by 4 to L by 5. Suppose we assuming that bay should be L by 4, so 25 by 4, it should be 6 meters. Okay, so it is our assumption, we are taking it 6 meter. Okay, so total number of bays will be, total length of the shed is 120 meter divided by 6 meter. 6 meter is bay length, or center to center distance between the trusses. Okay, so this comes out to be 20 numbers. So 21 number of trusses will be required for this construction. Now load calculation. So first of all we will calculate dead load, which we will denote by W1. Okay, so dead load of the roof, we will take part A. So dead load of the roof, so we will take dead load of the roof equal to by an empirical formula, L by 3 plus 5 multiplied by 10. So the total weight or dead load will be 133.33 Newton per meter square, sorry, Newton per mm square, or you can say Newton per meter square. Okay, so you can say 0.133 kilonewton per meter square. Okay, now B load, dead load of fixtures. So we are taking it by under guidance of IS code. So it is 0.025 kilonewton per square meter. Then C, the services load. Services means we any person will work on that shed for repairing or manufacturing. So these are services load, and services load of the AC pipe, cooling duct, and many other things. So the load of services is assumed to be 0.100 kilonewton per square meter. So total comes out to be 0.258 kilonewton per square meter. So this is dead load, and we will make it into count at the last also, while we will calculate the maximum pressure on the purlin. So this is 0.258 kilonewton per square meter. This is total dead load. Okay, so per bay load of the per bay means each truss gap. So load in each truss gap, or the load coming on each truss. So this will be 25 into 6, because 6 is the CC distance between trusses and 25 meter is the span of the truss. So this is total area, and the total load comes out to be 38.7 kilonewton. This is dead load per bay or dead load per truss. Okay. Then second, weight of purlin. Assuming the self weight of the purlin to be 0.70 Newton per meter square, or you may say 0.07 kilonewton per square meter. So load every bay length, this is per square meter area load. So load per bay length comes out to be 0.07 into 25 into 6. So this comes out to be 10.5 kilonewton. Okay. Now self weight of truss for welded structure. If we are using welding, only welding, not bolting or riveting in the truss, then self weight of the truss is assumed to be 0.133 multiplied by 25 into 6, because this is self weight of the truss. So adding 1, 2 and 3, this total comes out to be the per bay or per truss load is 69.2 kilonewton. Okay, now look at the diagram. This is total span of the truss 25 meter, and the truss is as shown in the figure picture. So this is height of truss 9 meter. This is 1 meter eave height of the truss, and this is total pitch of the truss, 2.5 meter height from the eave to center height of the truss. So you can see in the diagram total drawing of the truss. Now come to this, the interior nodes and end nodes, because these are end nodes at top and at eaves side. These are end node, and all other nodes are known as interior nodes. And this distance between two nodes is called as K, or node length. And as you are understanding by the geometry of the drawing, each node point is the resting point for a purlin. Okay, so we will use this later on. Now total number of nodes per truss span is 20, 10 each side. Now W1 load per node panel. So we have calculated the load for a per truss span. Now the total load for per node panel should be 69.20 kilonewton divided by 20, because total number of bays are 20. So this will be the load on per bay width, 3.46 kilonewton. Now load on AND node. AND node means at the topmost and at bottommost node, the load will be assumed as half of the intermediate node. So the load at AND node will be 1.73 kilonewton. Okay. Now second, wind load. We are denoting it by W2 as shown here. As per IS 875/1987 part 3rd, we have to calculate the wind load, and the wind speed here given is 50 meter per second. So wind load of a roof truss by static wind method is given by this formula. F will be coefficient of external pressure minus coefficient of internal pressure, this multiplied by area of the node panel into PD. PD is the pressure on the truss. So we will find out the PD, design wind pressure, first, and then we will take the coefficients CPE and CPI from the code for exterior and interior of the building. Okay, so we will take CPI to equal to plus minus 0.50, assuming the permeability of building or opening of the walls, keeping in between 5 to 20. Okay, so the permeability or opening of the walls should be 5 to 20%. Then CPI will be plus minus 0.5. Now CPE is referred to IS 875/1987 part 3rd and table 3.31. Okay, so it depends on H by W, the ratio and angle of roof. Hence alpha will be equal to tan inverse 2.5 divided by 25/2. Why 25/2? Because by the geometry of this figure you can see this length is 25/2 and this length is 25/2 and this height will be 2.5 meter. So for this triangle we will find out the angle or pitch of the roof. So tan inverse 2.5 divided by 25/2, this will be equal to, alpha will comes out to be 11.3 degree, and H by W means height divided by width, H by W, this will come out to 9 divided by 25. 9 is height of the shed or height of the shed up to eaves divided by total span, 9 by 25, it comes out to be 0.36. Now for H by W less than 0.5 and alpha equal to 10 degree, so we can find out the coefficient of external pressure. Leeward side it will be minus 0.4 and windward side it will be minus 1.2. Okay, if alpha is 20 degree and H by W is less than 0.5, for this CP comes out to be minus 0.4 to this will be leeward side, and windward side it will be minus 0.4, same on both the sides. Now the pressure PD will be equal to 0.6 times Vz whole square but we know Vz is equal to K1, K2, K3 into Vb. Vb is basic wind speed, which is given in our problem to be 50 meter per second. So K1 is coefficient assuming general conditions of building life equal to 50 years, and K2 is height factor of the building, which is taken as 0.91 up to 10 meter height of building, and 0.97 up to 15 meter of the height of building. Now K3 is topography factor, which is 1/4 plane, and Vb is given as basic wind speed 50 meter per second. So Vz comes out to be like this. Vz comes out to be 48.5 meter per second, and we can find out the PD pressure. So it comes out to be 1411.35 Newton per meter square, or 1.411 kilonewton per meter square. So node length K is the diagonal length of the truss. So K comes out to be A sec alpha, where alpha is 11.3 and A is 1.25, the horizontal nodal length, because there are 20 nodes and the horizontal span is 25. So 25 divided by 20, it comes out to be 1.25. So K comes out to be 1.27. This is the inclined length or diagonal length, or the length of the truss parallel to the slope. So area of each node panel comes out to be 1.27 into 6, 7.62 meter square. Total wind pressure force per node panel we may calculate it. So total pressure P per node length will be 1.411 into 7.62. So it comes out to be 10.75 kilonewton. Okay. Now force load on node panel for angle 0 degree. If angle of inclination is 0 of the truss, then we have to find out the factors and the force. So the force for windward side, it will be minus 1.10 plus minus 0.5. So for minimum, it will deduct, and for maximum it will be added. So the maximum will be minus 1.6 and minimum will be minus 0.6. This will be for windward side. And F force, we may calculate maximum will 17.2 kilonewton and minimum will come minus 6.45 kilonewton, but we will take the worst or maximum condition. So this 17.2 kilonewton we will take in calculation work. Okay. So now for leeward side, the factors are minus 0.4 plus minus 0.5. So the maximum comes out to be minus 0.9 and the minimum comes out to be plus 0.1. But again, we will take the maximum. So force or load maximum for leeward side will comes out to be minus 0.9 into 10.75, and we will take it in designing minus 9.675 kilonewton. Okay. W2 maximum F on windward direction is minus 17.2 kilonewton, and on leeward direction it comes out to be 9.675 kilonewton. But we will go for the maximum. So minus 17.2 kilonewton will be the maximum force which will be on windward direction. Now force on node panel for angle 90 degree. If angle of inclination is 90 degree, then F for windward side, the factors will be minus 0.79 plus minus 0.5. So the maximum comes out to be minus 1.29, which is maximum on addition of these both. So force maximum will be minus 1.29 into 10.75. This comes out to be minus 13.87 kilonewton. Now F for leeward direction, or the factors are 0.79 minus plus minus 0.50. So it comes out to be 1.29 maximum as earlier we have seen. So force maximum will be the same, minus 13.87 kilonewton. So we will take the force on windward direction maximum minus 13.87 and on leeward direction minus 13.87 kilonewton. So this will be the W2. W2 will be minus 13.87 kilonewton. Okay. Now live load, which is W3. So assume live load according to ICE code will be equal to 0.35 kilonewton per square meter. Load on interior panel will be 0.35 into 6 into 1.25, because it will be vertically downward, so we will take the projection. So the horizontal width is taken. So total load W3 will be 2.63 kilonewton, and on the end nodes, both end nodes, the load will be half, so it will be 1.32 kilonewton. Now at every node point or the purlin point, there will be three forces, as you can see here, W1 and W3, means live load plus the dead load, both will be vertically downward, and the load W2 or the low wind load will be perpendicular to the inclined surface. So you can see and you can make the analysis of the truss, and the members may be designed for the worst load condition, and the edge compression member and edge tension member. So we may design every truss member by this. Now design of purlin. So first of all, we have to find out the load on purlin. So span of purlin is 6 meter because it is distance truss to truss, and the purlin is placed linking two trusses. So spacing or the span of which load is to come on the purlin is 1.27, and the angle of slope is 11.3 degree, as we have already seen. Load on purlin will be A, live load 0.35 kilonewton per square meter, dead load will be 0.258 kilonewton per square meter, and wind load will be 1.411 kilonewton per square meter for 0 degree inclination. Okay, so load combinations for worst conditions, we will go for the worst conditions. We will find out that load or the combination which will be the maximum, and will design then purlin, and then purlin will be designed for the worst condition. So dead load plus live load, first of all, this is 0.35 plus 0.258, it comes out to be 0.608 kilonewton per square meter. But dead load plus wind load, A, normal to slope, it comes out to be minus 1.411. It is already normal to the slope, but the component of the vertical dead load, which will be 0.258 cos 11.3 degree, and total it comes out to be minus 1.27 kilonewton per square meter. Okay, but parallel to slope, this will be 0.258 sine 11.3 degree. So it comes out to be 0.041 kilonewton per square meter. Now factor this load. So the load is minus 1.27, and we will keep in mind this load. So this will be factored by 1.5, and it comes out to be 1.905 kilonewton per square meter, and node width is 1.27 meter. So the load will be 1.905 multiplied by 1.27. The load will come per square per meter, running meter load. So it is converted into UDL now. Then A, maximum bending moment. For this load, we will find out the maximum bending moment. So maximum bending moment for a continuous member is WL square by 10, as you can see here. So on finding out, putting the values and finding out the value, the solution of the equation 8.676 kilonewton meter. This will be the maximum bending moment, and maximum shear force 2.41 multiplied by 6 divided by 2 comes out to be 7.23 kilonewton. This is shear force, maximum shear force. Now plastic section modulus required for the section to be provided, ZP will be M into gamma MO divided by Fy. So it comes out to be ZP comes out to be 38,174 mmq. But we have to increase it by 30 to 40% for factor of safety. So ZP required is 49,626 mmq. Now provide ISJC junior channel of size 150, and provided Z section modulus is 62,800 mmq. Hence it's okay. Now the shear resistance or shear check should also be done. So shear resistance of the section is tau into A. Tau is 0.4 Fy or 100 MPa multiplied by 1265 mm square, the area of the section area of the channel. So it comes out to be 12.65 in 10 raised to 4 or 126.5 kilonewton, which is far more than 7.23 kilonewton. Hence it's okay. Now the design of purlin is okay. So thank you. If you have any problem, please contact me personally. Thank you. Thank you very much.